Hello, quilters! Happy Tuesday. It is so good to see you all again. I feel like I got to see you a lot this week, more than just last Tuesday and this Tuesday. I got to have some live video interaction with you all day on Saturday, and that's really exciting. Hmm, what a fun weekend that was. Uh, last Saturday, we had the mystery quilt Here Be Dragons quilt along, and there it is. That's my third version of the quilt. Uh, I've been so enjoying watching people's progress, watching people's finished quilts, seeing their color choices when people doubt themselves, like, oh, I don't think that's going to work. Oh, it might not work. Um, it went really well, and I loved seeing the quilts that came out of it. I loved some people played around with some of the designs in the corners too that I almost like better than my own. So, good job on you. So let me pull up images of the finished quilts to show you the full reveal of Here Be Dragons. Why didn't I pull that up first? Oh, talk amongst yourselves. Let's see. Uh, Here we go. Here be dragons. Is that it? No, that's not it. Where's my finished quilts? Okay, here's one. Let me share that with you. So that's one of my finished quilts from Here Be Dragons, and that is my red, white, and blue version. I like to put yellow, gold, brown, something like that in my red, white, and blue quilts, which this is actually French provincial fabric. So I really like that was the first one, the way that looked. And let's see. And that was the second one I made. That's called Book Club fabric, and it's a little softer. It has aqua and pink and gray. I think my sister already has her eye on this one. And then the one behind me is the third one that I made. Uh, so that pattern was free up until Saturday, up through Saturday, and the pattern is still available. So you can go to the class, and all the information is in there. Everything's been revealed, and you can continue to quilt along with us and make your own. I know some people didn't get a chance to. Some people didn't know about it until then, and some people don't like to commit to a quilt until they know what it's going to look like. So the pattern is still available and will be on my to-do list. I have a nice to-do list. On my to-do list is to convert that over to pattern format to take away the quilt along version of it. But that pattern is still available if you'd like to quilt along. So thanks for joining along on that. It was so much fun. My husband was home for it, and I don't think he really understood what it was, but he knew that it was kind of a big, exciting deal for me. And he helped me move stuff around in the studio and get everything going for it. So uh, it was fun for him to see what I do. But that is the quilt. Now, I'll tell you a bit later, but that quilt is now the foundation of what comes next, and that is 30 days from quilt top to quilted. So if you are new here, just joining me because you were following along with hundreds of other quilters doing our mystery quilt along, keep watching, and I will get to talk about what starts today. Today starts 30 days from quilt top to quilted. Now, it's not 30 consecutive days. It's Tuesday through Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 4 new lessons a week. They're going, you have to log back in the class each day. I'm turning it on each night before I go to bed. So depending on what time you get up, or if you're in Australia, you can go log in and get your information without me having to get up early and take care of it. So that was my what has been happening list. So what has already happened was the Here Be Dragons quilt. And another part of the greeting is I just want to send out some quilty love to Janet and Cindy, two of our followers who are quilting along, who both are having surgery this week. So I know they're not here, but I look forward to them coming back and sending love. If you're catching this in replay from a hospital or from a recovery bed. So I'm so glad you got to quilt along with us. And I hope all of your procedures are going well and that your recovery is just sped through, and you're going to be restored to better than before, so that whatever problems you needed to have fixed are fixed, and you're back in the quilting game. So love to our members. Let's see. Purchases. What did I buy new this week? Nothing. Okay, that's not true. But what arrived new at my house this week? Nothing. Now, I may or may not know that there are packages in my driveway because I heard UPS truck come. So I don't know if that was for me or not, but nothing new this week. That's an impressive week for me. No new quilty stuff. Oh, what quilts did I start? Oh, wait, I never turned the chat on. So let's see you. Come and say hi on chat. I don't think I have any. I'm not seeing any comments. Let me lift up my phone and see if there's any comments coming on in Facebook. Let's turn this on. Debbie Brown Quilts. Is this running? It says it's running on there. Let me keep looking. There we go. I do have a live video. Let's see if there's any comments coming through. I don't have any new comments up, so leave me a comment to let me know if the comments are working. I'm not seeing any, and I'm not sure what's coming in on YouTube. So hello. Come and say hello. It's I'm in New York, 70 miles north of New York City, and shocking note, we're having a heat wave. It's up to 40 today, which is lovely, and it's only going to get warmer. Sadly, my husband has to be out of town this weekend for a family funeral. I have to work, so I'll be home. But that leaves me going, what do I do if it snows? So we're supposed to be getting rain, which is shocking and lovely, because that means I don't have to shovel. That's not what I wanted. I'm trying to log in and see if we have comments. No. Anyway, in the comments go up, I'll just talk to you, even though I'm not getting any feedback right now. So what did I start this week? So I didn't buy anything new, but I did start some stuff. I'm trying to limit the stuff that I'm starting, but you know how well that works. Now, last week I showed you a Sweet Tooth Cutie quilt. Uh-oh, I dropped something. A Sweet Tooth Cutie quilt that I made. I made that for one of my infusion nurses, and I decided to dig into my 1.5 inch scrap bin. And that is the bin, the gift that keeps on giving, because this is enough for 3 to 4 of those quilts. And these are in kind of Americana colors. These are darker. I do this against cream. When I get the bright color scraps, I make them against gray. And then these other ones that are a little duller or darker go against cream. And I don't know how many this is, but this is probably enough for 3 Sweet Tooth quilts, maybe 4. So I did stitch through every bit of that. Sadly, I made a new scrap last night, so I have another one to make. I did not sew through all of my bright scraps, just the dark scraps, but a pile of quilt blocks almost as big as my head. That was a fun endeavor. And another thing I started this week were I Spy quilts for my sister's grandchildren. My 6-month-old grandson loves the I Spy quilt that I'd made for his mom, my daughter. My quilt guild 30 years ago, started collecting fabrics for I Spy, and we used hexagons. That was the thing to do back in the late 90s. And we used the Marty Michelle templates. The hexagon is like a 2-inch hexagon. Yeah, a 2-inch hexagon. And we cut those out, and we swapped fabric every month for a couple years. And I decided to make that quilt for my daughter. And I probably when I finished it, she was probably about 8. So this is the hexagon template I use. I don't know if you can see the size of that. Well, I threw all the fabrics into a box after I was done with hers, but I made hers. And I finished it one day, finally, after years of collecting fabric and sewing it and quilting it. And I put it on my bed because my bed was on the first floor. And I said, "Look, Erin, I finished your quilt." And she came home from school that day, second grade, first grade, something like that, and said, "Ugh, I don't like it." And I'm like, "That's okay. I have a new quilt," and just went on about my business. Well, a couple hours later, she stole the quilt. My daughter is a full-grown adult, married with kids, and she, since her son was born, she has called to or texted me, I think she called, to say she was sorry that she received the quilt with such little grace, because she loves that quilt now, and her son loves that quilt now, and all the quilts I get of him have him sitting on her I Spy quilt. Um, my son's family, they already have an I Spy quilt in the family, but my sister's daughter, my niece, dropped a hint. She's like, "Well, my son doesn't have an I Spy quilt." So now I'm resurrecting the project. And what I do is I take all of those hexagons and I sew on these little triangles. So that this side fabric here is what I'm using for my youngest grandson, named after my dad. I mean, my youngest great nephew, named after my dad. And I'm just sewing them in groups of 10. I have this many more to sew. I think I have 60 done, and then this is however many it'll be. This might be another 60, so it might be 120 to 150, and however big it is, that's how big the quilt is going to be. I'm not expecting it to be huge, and I may even put some spacer bars in it, just because I'm not going whole ham on collecting all the fabric. But that's what I'm working on, and that is my every night, after dinner, before it's time to like watch a movie with my husband, if he's available, I get to sew a few of these because I'm back at work now and I don't get to sew during the day now that the work demands are getting higher, which is good. It's great that quilting is my job. And I get to quilt for my job. And I'm in this nice new corner here that my husband and I set up last night because I have to do some filming on this machine for some upcoming classes. So I am quilting somewhat, but it's really more computer filming, editing, things like that. But this is my fun at night that I get to just sit and sew these. So that's another thing I started this week. Then there's, what do I have that is that everything I started this week? Let me check my list. Oh, nope, I started a new one. I have another grandchild due within a week, so anytime now. And I had made my 6-month-old grandson for Christmas got a baby bear bonnet, and then this is the newborn size. And I forgot that this family, my son and his wife, have big babies, so I have no idea if this is going to fit. But for my daughter-in-law's sake, I hope this fits. I hope this baby has a very nice condensed shape head, that everything is well. It's easy to birth this head, and then this is just a little bonnet that goes out. I still need to do the I-cord and the I-cord edging, and then the I-cord down the side. If it's not big enough, I do have enough yarn left to make another one in the 0 to 3 month. This is the newborn size. And this, I think I made this in 3 nights. I think this was 3 nights work so far. And the third night of work on this was horrible for me because it was the Steeler game on Sunday. While the Steelers, born and raised in Pittsburgh, Cut Me, I Bleed Black and Gold, it's just a legacy thing. While the Steelers are moving on to the playoffs, I cannot say that the Steelers won the game. The Steelers did not try to win the game. They tried to not win the game, but the Ravens weren't having it and gave it back to them. But this was very painful, trying to do all of these little German short row shaping in the back while trying to either not watch or watch the game. It was very stressful. But now I just get to pick up the sides and do the rest of the edging on the neck. So that I started this week, but I should finish that in a few days. And then I think I only have one major UFO that's in process right now, and that is a dotted rays scarf. It's a Stephen West pattern, and if anyone's a knitter, Stephen West is kind of hardcore. He does hard stuff. But this is one of his easier patterns, and this is the second time I've made it. I ripped out the first one because I was having trouble getting all of the rays to line up as they do here. And here's a fun thing. I grabbed one of my thread nets from quilting to put around this ball of yarn so it just didn't disintegrate on me. And I was working on something that had thread nets on my yarn. And I was at my local quilt shop. My friend owns the quilt shop down in Mount Kisco, New York. And everyone down there was like, oh, whatever that is, we need it. I'm like, I don't know. They're like a dozen for $5. It's just a regular thread net. But the knitters don't know about this. So we quilters are one step ahead of the knitters. So let me check the comment situation. Let's see. Okay, I'm not seeing the comments on here, so let me try to find them on my phone. Hello, Margaret from Australia. What part of Australia are you from? And Joyce, happy Tuesday. Jeanette, as soon as the live video ends, you're going to your stash to find fabric for Here Be Dragons. You'll be sharing with a young gal who's never quilted. Oh, that's so nice. I told her about our fun last Saturday and she's eager to get started. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for sharing that pattern. Joan, you're busy with a mystery project, and Facebook won't let you post a picture here. Okay, you can put it in, you can just comment it on something else, or get it to me. I'm really easy to find. Debbie Brown Quilts on all social media, debbiebrownquilts.com, YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram, all of those places. Annette, hello. And again, I am sorry. The comments just aren't working today. Sometimes that happens. And I'm not seeing the ones on YouTube. So I apologize that I'm only getting the Facebook ones. The YouTube ones I will catch when I'm done and post some comments on them. Darn, why is the chat not working? That's poopy. Sorry about that. It happens periodically. Okay, so I think that is, let's see. I started the Scrappy Sweet Tooth, the I Spy the Baby Bear, and the Dotted Rays. So what did I finish this week? Other than finishing a couple quilt tops for Here Be Dragons, I finished a cutie quilt. Now, I design cutie quilts. It's my friend's company. It is with, she came up with the idea because she's brilliant. 16 fat eights. So that is actually a cutie quilt over there on that wall. That is Field of Flowers. And the fabric is a Rachel Rossi fabric line from pre-pandemic. I remember making that for Quilt Market before the pandemic. So you take a pack of 16 fat eighths, which is 9 by 22 inches, like half of a fat quarter. Take a fat quarter and just, instead of 18 by 22, cut it in half. So let me share, hiccups. Let me share with you what I made. Here we go. So I made lemon bars is the name of this quilt. The first quilt I made out of it might have been made out of lemon fabric. So this fabric is Pumpkin Spice Gatherings from Primitive Gatherings. I buy all the fabric, all the patterns. I love everything about Primitive Gatherings. So this is my Pumpkin Spice Gatherings fat quarter tower. And I pulled out 16 fabrics, 16 fat quarters, the orangest ones, to make this quilt. And then I used some cream for the setting squares, the sashing, and the quilt itself was made with 16 fat eighths. And the border, I used the other fat eighth, the other half of the fat quarter, to piece together the border because I didn't know what I was going to make when I bought the fat quarter tower. But usually there's enough border fabric in another cutie pack. So does that kind of make sense? I did film this, and it is on YouTube. It's how I machine quilted lemon bars on my home sewing machine using a stencil. So here's some of the quilting. You can check this out on my blog, debbiebrownquilts.com. The first button says blog. So you can see what I'm looking at here. Here's some of the quilting. And my sister has already claimed that quilt. So that's one thing I finished. And we have a new calendar day. So on the first of every month, I do a roundup of all the projects I finished the month before. In December, let's make this bigger. I machine quilted a la mode cutie quilt, that quilt. I made This quilt for my daughter's nephew, Jackson. That is a cutie quilt, also made with 16 fat eighths and background fabric. This quilt is a cutie quilt made from Garden Gatherings fabric and some background fabric. That one's called a la mode. This one is called Squared Away. That's the baby bonnet, the baby bear bonnet I made for my 6-month-old grandson. And this is just a smaller version for his cousin. I made him a book for Christmas. So that's what I got done in December, which wasn't as much as I had hoped, but that was my December finish. So I can stop sharing and come back and say hi to you. Let's see what the comments are doing. Ronnie, YouTube does have some comments. And Margaret, you're from South Australia. Hello. South Australia, I think, is that Adelaide area. I think. And I was very confused when I was in Adelaide. Now, I was there expecting to, I really wanted to see water turn around the drain the wrong way or backwards from what it does in the Northern Hemisphere. That wasn't the issue. The concern I had when I was in Adelaide was the half-hour time zones. I don't handle the 4 time zones in the continental United States very well. And then there was a half-hour time zone issue when I was teaching in Adelaide. I'm like, oh my word, I'm never going to survive this. So I told people, just knock on my door. I'll be sitting there waiting. Knock on my door when you need me. Because it was before iPhones and cell phones and all of that were automatically updating everything. This was maybe back in 2010. It was really confusing for me. So this is hats off to Australians. You are far smarter than I am. You can handle the metric system and half-hour time zones. Let's see if I can flip over to YouTube and find a comment. I'm so sorry. They normally show up right on the side of my screen. And I did restart my computer right before this. Let me go to my channel. I apologize. Some noise may come on for a second. Okay. Let's Okay. So Material Diva had a blast making the mystery quilt. Cindy, hi. Take care of yourself. Love to you this week. Patty, hello. And Saturday was wonderful. Thank you. Hello from Nevada, Diana. And Barbara's in Indianapolis. Hello. Oh, Cindy, yours on Friday. Good luck. Best of wishes, speedy recovery through everything, and get back to quilting well. Bev, do I have a pattern for the I Spy quilts? No, I don't. What I do have, like I said, is this Marty Michelle 2-inch hexagon template, and then the triangle that goes with it, and it's just going to be rows of hexagons with triangles making an hourglass between each one. They're going to be offset and cut. I'm not sure I ever did. I might have a pattern in one of the Marty Michelle companion books, but it's really just that. That's there are several on Etsy and such, because I was looking to see if they had any to give me an idea of how many hexagons I needed. But that's what I have on the I Spies. So I finished the lemon bars. A couple last things to tell you about. It's so weird not having you right on my screen talking to me. Let me find more comments. I'm so sorry. This is very clunky. So I've put some new things online on my website. I've been going through, and I just put a whole shelf of orange fabric on $6 clearance. So if anybody needs backgrounds, you can go to my website, scroll down, it'll say $6 clearance fabric, and you can check that out there. It'll also be coming in your newsletter, which you should get Thursday or Friday. I have a lot of fabrics if you need some backings to finish up your quilts. There's a whole line of them right here. I can see them all from here. And the last thing I want to talk to you about is 30 days from quilt top to quilted. So let me go to my class. Let me find that. Why are the computers making my life miserable today? Looking. It should all just be there. Here we go. So let me come back and share this with you. So this is the course, 30 days from quilt top to quilted. And day one is preparing your quilt top. And I can go in and start the lesson. Tomorrow, a new lesson will come out. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'll have new lessons. Monday, I'll have some other new content coming out and be back to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, it's just going to this course is meant to be kind of a reference, so that you will know how to prepare your quilt top. And if, oh, I'm ready to do another quilt, let me go back and prepare and see how to do that. How to prepare my batting, how to prepare my backing, how to baste my quilt. That's what the 4 lessons are going to be this week. Next week, we'll have 4 other lessons. I think week 10 is when I start showing how to quilt it, because I don't want to have lessons 28, 29, and 30 be 3 different ways to quilt it. So I wanted to give you enough information to get started, and then I'll talk about how to quilt on a walking foot, and then give you some more information and talk about how to quilt your quilt on with free motion, and I give you some more information and talk about how to quilt your quilt with a stencil. So that's the way it's going to be, but it's going to be about 10 days, I think, 10 lessons, and then we'll do the quilting, and I'll give you a couple choices so you can see how it goes. With the walking foot this year, this class originally was 21 days from quilt top to quilted. And if you joined that last year, you don't have to join it this year. It's the same class. I'm just changing the title and expanding it. So you're already in. I just took your content away and I'm going to give it back to you over the next couple weeks. Last year I did walking foot straight lines. This year I'm adding more walking foot techniques. I'll be adding free motion. I'll be adding some stencils. So it's going to be talking about how to restart when your thread breaks. How do I get that knot to knot show? How do I make a starting knot and an ending knot? How hard do I push the fabric? Because most of this is taught on a home sewing machine. I don't think any is going to be filmed on a stationary long arm where I'm filming today, but it might. Quilting is quilting. My long arm quilters, if you, the walking foot's not going to do tons for you, but for the free motion and stencils, we quilt up and down on a home sewing machine because that's how a machine works. On a long arm machine, you're just going to turn your quilt sideways, take everything I do and do it this way. So that can work out for you. Let's see what else we have going on comment wise. And let me head over to YouTube to make sure I'm answering questions. I'm so sorry the comments just aren't working today in my program. Well, no, it looks like we have pretty much what we have. Is that true? Let me turn the sound off here. Nope, I think I hit all the comments. So that is what I have for you this week. I talked about getting your backings 30 days. And the rest of the things that I'm doing right now, I am prepping for more online classes. I'm teaching online at some quilt stores. I'm prepping some online stuff that's going to be released later on for you this week. I'm prepping to teach in person. I'm going to be teaching at Bits and Pieces at the end of January or the beginning of February, depending on the weather. You always have to have a snow day when you're working in New England in the winter. So I'm doing a lot of prepping right now. So it's a lot of computer work, a lot of paperwork, a lot of handouts. And that's why it's fun to just sit down at night and I'm like, ooh, space aliens, or what am I going to quilt with here? Ooh, a little teddy bear. So it's been fun going through here, going through the fabrics. It's just a really light project that gives me a quick pick-me-up at the end of my workday. So for all of you who have like real jobs where you do like real work all day, every day, hats off to you, because my job is pretty intense right now, like almost full time. Y'all do this every day. I'm so proud of you. You deserve some quilting time when you're done. Make sure you build some in for yourself. I try to build in quilting time wherever I am. So I have the little bear hat, wherever that ended up. The little bear hat lives on my sofa. That's if I'm watching a movie or football. This lives at my kitchen table. So if I'm sitting and chatting with my husband, I can work on that. This gets pieced between the time I talk to my mom at night and the time I spend time with my husband. So just a little pick me up there. Um, I try to put I have little sewing projects in different places. So I can always just get a little pick me up in my day. Um, I could grab a cookie, but this is probably better for me. Um, just for a little pickup in the middle of the day. So find some time for yourself. Make a commitment to yourself to find time for your quilting and see where do you need to be. I also keep knitting in my purse. I have a pair of socks that I always keep in my purse. If I end up stuck somewhere, I always have some knitting, like waiting a doctor's appointment and it ended up being an hour late. I can do that. If I'm sitting, I did a co-op food pickup yesterday. It ended up going smoothly, but sometimes the truck is late. You can sit in the car. If my husband and I run errands together, since we live kind of out of town, he was home for a couple weeks over Christmas, and we had a couple errand days together that we just did everything we needed to do. Some were for me, some were for him. And when he was doing his thing, I'm like, I've got an audiobook in my knitting or sewing in the car. So see if there's little cracks in your day. You can put a little extra creativity in, a little sewing in, because you deserve it. So I will be back again. There will be new content in 30 days from Quilt Top to Quilted. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week. You can check in every day. It'll be on social media every day to remind you. That class is available for purchase. Again, if you are already enrolled from 21 days, you're already in the class. It's just $30 to enroll. And it'll be giving you 3 different ways, 3 different types of quilting to quilt your Here Be Dragons and also last year's Blanket Fort Mystery Quilt. And it'll be a good resource about the knots and the first stitch and basting and all the questions you have about quilting. So you can join that class at any time, and it's yours forever. It doesn't end after 30 days. You get to keep it forever, unless I update it to 40 days from Quilt Top to Quilted next year, in which case I'll steal your content back, shuffle it up, and give it back to you over time. So until I will be back again Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with more content. Monday, I have more content. And then I'll be back again Tuesday with day 5 of Quilt Top with Quilted. And I'll be back right here at 2:30 in New York time, Eastern Standard Time. And the comments usually work. So if you're new here, I apologize for this. This is just weird. There was a little computer glitch this week. But I'll be back to tell you what's new, what's going on, give you some new quilting things I found. So until I see you again, take care of yourselves, whatever that looks like. Take care of each other because the world's it's a hard world. And